Hi everybody, Thomas at Rebel Income here. Now you talk to just about anybody in the financial services industry, and at some point the conversation inevitably turns to retirement planning. For me, the interesting thing about retirement planning is that no two people have the same idea about what retirement means, to say nothing about how much money it actually takes to fund a comfortable retirement. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 questions I had to think about to give context to my ideas about retirement. I'll also outline 4 simple strategies I've learned to apply to my qualified retirement accounts and that I think might be helpful for you. I think one of the most difficult aspects about retirement planning is that there are generational differences, not only in what retirement looks like, but also about the vehicles that are in place to help you make your own customized, realistic, and successful retirement plan. So let's start by putting the word retirement in a practical context. When you think of retirement, what does it look like? Are you traveling the world to exotic places? Or are you replacing the time you spent working by volunteering in causes you care about? Maybe your idea is simpler, like just being able to spend more time with your family and enjoying grandkids. Maybe you like what you do for a living so much that you're one of the lucky ones that feels like you never really worked a day in your life. And maybe the thought of giving up work for somebody else's idea of what your later years should look like just doesn't make any sense at all. Part of the problem is that for decades, we've been sold a bill of goods about what retirement is supposed to be and how to get there. For a long time, employers offered pension plans, which rewarded career-long employee loyalty with a stable, useful income in their golden years. The company paid into a dedicated pension fund to cover all current and future obligations for its employees. Today, pension plans are practically a thing of the past, and with them the long-held but now antiquated notion of company and employee loyalty. In its place, we were given 401ks or 403bs if you work in government, education, public hospitals, or other nonprofit organizations, and a variety of IRA choices. The caveat to them all is that they're largely self-funded. Employers might be required to make a retirement plan available to you, but whether they make contributions to the plan along with yours is up to their respective culture and capacity and is anything but a given. For the past 4 decades, the burden for retirement savings has been shifted squarely to the worker and away from the employer. Now, the idea of encouraging individual savings is certainly not a bad idea, but it also means that if you intend to stop working later in life, you need to start saving earlier. And that isn't always an easy thing when you're starting a career. Financial planners and advisors generally recommend treating today's retirement plans as forced savings, since employers deduct contributions to 401k and 403b accounts from pre-tax earnings for you. The hard part comes when you start thinking about how much money you need for retirement. Recent surveys indicate that most working adults believe they'll need at least $1.5 million in savings in order to retire comfortably at the generally accepted age of somewhere between 65 and 70 years old. The assumption is that is the amount of money it would take to live comfortably through your golden years. What I really don't like are the charts and graphs that financial planners like to use to show how much you should have saved by age 30, age 40, age 50, and so on. These calculations simply don't take into account the fact that life happens, and so these idealized numbers may not be possible at different parts of your life. And if you're like me, that can be really demotivating. These idealized numbers also don't take into account what your vision of life in retirement is going to be. That's a big part of the reason that I don't like to put a number on how much money you're going to need in retirement. How much you'll need compared to what I need are certainly going to be different, simply because we're different people with different goals and plans for the future. Another element that a lot of people take for granted, and that I still see financial advisors encourage people to think about, is the money they've been paying throughout their working years into the Social Security system. Intended as a government-run program to provide retirement income after age 65, every American pays into it directly from their regular paycheck. The problem with relying on Social Security was made clear last year when the 2023 report from the Social Security Board of Trustees disclosed that without intervention, the reserve fund that has been used to cover shortfalls between the amount of income brought into the core Social Security fund by tax revenue and benefits paid to Social Security beneficiaries would be depleted by 2033, less than 10 years from now. Now, that doesn't mean Social Security is going bankrupt in the next 10 years, only that the fund currently being used to provide 100% benefit payments will be depleted without significant change from Congress. The problem I have is that this is the same tune that has been sung for all of my working life. Social Security was a ticking clock 30 years ago, and the countdown has only gotten shorter since. That means that if you'll be in your golden years after 2033, there's a good chance you won't be able to enjoy the full benefits you spent a lifetime paying into with your tax dollars, because those were used to make sure previous generations got theirs. That might sound like sour grapes, but it actually isn't. It's simply a reflection of a determination I've held for decades, which is that financially speaking, the later years of my life will be determined by what I do with my money, not by what I hope the government has the sense to do. So, if you want to plan smart, put together a plan that doesn't include any expectations tied to Social Security. So what about that $1.5 million number we talked about just a few minutes ago? What can you do? If you're just starting your career, most financial planners recommend directing at least 10 to 20% of your income into retirement savings and then increasing the percentage every 5 to 10 years as your income increases. That sounds good, but for a lot of Americans, even that admirable goal might not be realistic. Now, I do agree that if your idea of retirement includes doing something other than working, you should start putting money into retirement savings sooner than later. The earlier you can start, the more you can save, and that's a simple fact. Instead of trying to reach an arbitrary target given to you by some expert, however, I suggest evaluating your financial situation carefully to determine what your savings capacity is. If you can only save 2.5% of your income per month, do it. If you can save more without inhibiting your ability to pay bills and provide for your loved ones, that's great. When you pay off a debt, consider increasing the amount of your savings rather than how you can find a way to take on new debt to replace the old one. If you get a raise or bonus at work, decide what portion of that money can be used to increase your retirement savings rather than thinking about all of the ways you can start spending it right away. There's also power in leveraging the savings you direct to a qualified retirement plan like a 401k, a 403b, or even an IRA account, which means that it is smart to maximize your contributions to these types of accounts each year to the extent you're able. If your employer provides a matching contribution to a 401k or 403b account, try to take as much advantage of that benefit as you can. Not all employers do so, but the ones that do are putting free money into your account above and beyond the growth you get from the investments the money is directed into. The fact that contributions made to these accounts are also done with pre-tax dollars with tax-deferred growth through investments is also an advantage. If you also have the capacity to contribute to an IRA as well as a 401k or 403b, you can contribute post-tax dollars that may be tax deductible depending on your access to other retirement plans and your income level. IRA contributions also enjoy the same tax-deferred growth benefit regardless of whether you can deduct contributions from your yearly tax return. That means that the tax-deferred status of all of these accounts enables growth from your investments to compound much faster than would be possible in a regular cash savings or regular investment account. One of the things that most people don't think about is all of the different ways that they can put the financial markets to work for them. That's in part because the majority of retirement savings, which are directed into 401k and 403b type accounts, are deposited into predetermined mutual funds that an employer identified for them with the help of their 401k provider. There's not a lot of flexibility allowed or ability to change where those savings are directed. On the other hand, the investments that you can direct savings put into a Roth or regular IRA account is entirely up to you. There are some limitations imposed by the government for certain ultra-speculative vehicles, but the fact is that the range of investment strategies available for use in an IRA account is just about as broad as you could want. It's also a great place to take advantage of my two personal favorite investing strategies: value-driven, cash-secured put sales, and covered calls. These are the strategies that I focus on in my Rebel Income system, and it's allowed me to realize superior returns on my investments through a variety of different market conditions than any other single strategy I've used in the last 30 years. So what are my takeaways when it comes to how much money you need for retirement? First of all, start saving as early as possible. Second, instead of focusing on a target savings number, focus on what you can save. Only increase your savings as your capacity to do so without affecting other important areas of your life allows. Starting small is better than not starting at all. Third, take as much advantage of employer-sponsored matching contributions as you can. It's free money. And fourth, focus also on how you can put that money to work for you most effectively by learning strategies that make the market work for you to accelerate your savings growth even more. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. Help me grow my channel by hitting the subscribe button along with the bell so you'll get notified every time I upload new content. If you really want to leverage the power of my Rebel Income system with information you can use every day to turbocharge your retirement savings, sign up for a free 7-day trial on my Patreon page. That link is in the description area of this video. Thanks for your time. I'm Thomas. Talk to you again soon. Happy investing, everybody.